Man, I can't tell you guys how cool the world of video games has been since portable game machines have first become a reality. The road to get there was sure a long and complex one. I think many of us remember these days when LCD handhelds based on several of our favorite TV shows, movies, and even popular arcade hits were being distributed in every store, and we did appreciate them to an extent. This TMNT handheld, for one, is the first handheld video game I think that I ever owned. It was a Christmas gift and I was moderately excited about it. Heck, any handheld video game was exciting to me. I didn't have any money in any handheld video game whatsoever. I was happy to have something, even if it was a piece of junk. Since the creation of a lot of these primitive game machines, Nintendo in their wisdom thought it would be incredible to bring the idea of a cartridge-based handheld that emulated the fun of those old LCD games, but could support many different games on one system. The appeal was that you didn't have to buy another handheld for every game. You just had to keep buying cartridges instead. Oh well, it wasn't that innovative an idea, but we didn't care. Nintendo was a phenomenon that brought the video game industry out of the ashes in the mid-80s and brought a newfound respect back to game consoles, and the thought of a portable Nintendo was amazing, even if the games looked like spinach. Other companies would soon take note of this new handheld game deck craze that Nintendo's Game Boy really brought to the forefront. Atari responded with a behemoth called the Atari Lynx, and that was my first portable cart-based game console ever. And this system brought a standard to portables as well: color. I just pulled this out of the closet today, and it's the first time that I've ever really laughed out loud at this thing. Why did I never realize how humongous this is? A pocket system, it was not. Neither was Sega's Game Gear system that came out a couple of years later. Later on, a second standard for a portable system was about to be created by Nintendo. It came in the form of the Game Boy Pocket. This was the first time that a removable media-based portable was actually pocket-sized, and now the competition had nothing to say. Game Boy was now compact, the screen was much sharper and easier to see, the battery life rocked, and the games were the best. Case closed. True, Nintendo didn't really think that monochrome software was any type of nail to their non-existent coffin, but their greatest strength amongst the competition had always been affordability. And a color system before meant a lit-up screen and a bulkier size, which meant poorer battery life. But later on, they brought home portable, pocket-sized, color-based entertainment at an attractive price with their greatest handheld up to the time of 1999, the Game Boy Color. It wasn't until 1999 that someone else, SNK of America, would bring out a portable game deck to combat Nintendo's monopoly on the market. But guess what? It had to live up to the standard of pocket-sized entertainment. Hence it was. And it was even called Neo Geo Pocket Color. Just to make sure we knew it was small and color without even having to see the device. Was it color? Yes. Was it small? Kind of. As you can imagine, I bought it. I also happen to think it was the best thing since sliced bread. It certainly did live up to the power I expected from something bearing the Neo Geo name. I was, however, disappointed with the sound quality. It was like listening to games from my old Sega Master, and that thing was from 1986. Well, anyways, it failed miserably. And even though that meant Nintendo now had the portable market all to themselves again, they knew it was no time to stop innovating. Because in summer of 2001 came the Game Boy Advance, a snazzy new portable which brought yet another new standard of portable gaming, a wide screen. True, the Atari Lynx and Game Gear sort of already did that, but okay, fine. That standard was brought by them first. Good job, guys. Now let's get back to Nintendo, because they're the ones who matter. It seemed that nothing was going to bother the unshaken success of Nintendo's line of handhelds. But oh no, someone from the land of Finland was about to make history. Nokia. That's right, not content enough with being the #1 cellular phone distributor in the world, they decided that they could get a decent handle on the portable video game market as well. But did they succeed? Well, we'll get to that in a little while, I'll keep you hanging. First, let's look at all the lovely new standards that this snazzy new handheld brought to portables. Nokia's little device was called the N-Gage. Was I going to go buy one? First you should ask, is the Pope going to go to church? You bet I did, and I didn't care what it was going to cost, because check out these features. N-Gage had multimedia capabilities, a music player, an FM radio, powerful 3D graphics, and software support for many top game labels including Sega, my personal favorite. When I saw footage of Tomb Raider for it, I was sold. No handheld to that point had ever been capable of bringing the sexy Lara Croft into my pocket. I didn't think anything could go wrong. Then out of left field, everything went wrong. You had to power down the unit and field strip the device in order to change a game. The battery life was poor. The screen was vertical. The brightness was dim. The screen size was tiny. The unit slipped out of your hands easily. It had no shoulder buttons. The games were expensive. The games came on tiny MMC cards that could get lost easily. And get this, the sound quality was mono, not stereo. Needless to say, I had to be a bit in denial to love this system. No, what am I saying? This system was fun, leave it alone. But I can tell you that system brought with it several new standards in portables that Sony perfected with their first great handheld, the Sony PSP. Sony truly wanted to bring something that shattered the competition and made us all believe in the impossible. The hugest screen ever. High definition, by the way. 128-bit graphics. Traditional PlayStation controls, sort of. And perhaps the craziest new format for a game, Universal Media Discs, or UMDs. A tiny CD inside a frail plastic shell that cracks easily. Excellent. Knowing Sony's history with failed formats, this system brought our jaws to the floor, but made our tongues go in our cheeks at the same time. Because Sony brought out a game system like this in 2005 with now a brand new format. A time when iPods were efficiently changing the standard of how we buy our entertainment. Digital downloads. Instead of having to go to a store and purchase pieces of plastic that take over our whole wall unit and eventually crack and get scratched, further making us have to spend more money at some video store just to get them buffed so they work again, you could now use your mouse and computer and download tons of albums straight to your music player. This way of buying would also be great for games. And yet Sony, as ahead of the game as they were not quite that ahead yet. And so they expected us to purchase their game deck for $249.99. That price was fair, but with the games then $39.99 to $49.99, memory cards running for hundreds of dollars, as well as extra accessories, the Sony PSP didn't seem to anything close to an affordable experience. And get this, Sony was having movies released on the same format. That means they wanted you to now repurchase your movie collection at $19.99 to $29.99 a pop, so that you could have the format Sony wants you to have. The format, by the way, that only plays on PSP and forces you to watch a film on a small screen. That didn't really excite me. However, the features were amazing and truly brought home new standards to expect from a handheld gaming system. A high-quality music player, the ability to watch movie files, wireless internet, Skype chat, and to play PlayStation 2 quality games by yourself, or even over an internet connection right from your game deck. The PSP would then move on to recreate itself several times, yet never fundamentally changing anything. It did, however, add the feature of hooking it to a television to watch its movies and play its games on the big screen. Well, that's more like it. Except how stupid is this? You can watch your PSP movies on any standard TV with standard AV ports, but in order to play PSP games on the big screen, it must be a high-def television. Are they out of their minds? I mean, I'm aware those kinds of TVs are becoming more affordable, but I just don't have one yet, so I've got to go to my parents' house if I want to play PSP games on a big screen. That is stupid. Thankfully, Sony has released a third incarnation of the PSP, PSP 3000, which takes care of that problem. But seeing as how many frickin' PSPs Sony's pooping out of itself, I'm almost afraid to even buy one now. I'm afraid that they'll then come out with a SpongeBob-themed PSP, and then won't I be sad I didn't wait.